Saturday, the 16th of January, 2021. It's going to be a beautiful day here. Got down high 40s last night, low 50s. Kind of cool for around here. Could have been cooler, but this is an update. I'm waiting for my friend, my laborer, to come along. He comes and he works hard all day. He does whatever I ask him to, but to sort of catch up on what's going on, most of the rock out of this yard has been taken off the surface. The reason it's taken off the surface is, you see this water line right here? This is builder special. It's all 15 years old. That's half-inch plastic water line, and it fatigues if we have frost, and it gets aneurysms. What happens is you'll get like a hairline crack in it, and if you bend it anywhere during the installation, if you put a kink in it anywhere, you've got a soft spot. It's by belief. You put something in there that they say memory, it'll come back. Well, I don't care. You kink it while you're installing it anywhere, and you've got a weak spot. Well, anyway, along with the presentation, what I've done here is I've had my laborer more or less take and go halfway between the two houses. Now, he scraped everything back. I've done this job like 2 years ago. I did this job, and I banked the dirt up against the house, up against the foundation, and I put down plastic covered with tar paper all along to keep the water, because water migration. I wanted the water away from the patio. But where we're going is he's going to continue. He was here 2 days ago, and he's done most of the work knocking this out, this ditch. But we have to move along, and this half-inch water line, we're going to trace it back through here. And it's like the third time, because last spring, 2 years ago, I covered it all up with tar paper and plastic after sculpting some grade away from the foundation. And so that was last spring, about 8 months ago, and now we're tearing it up again. And the reason I did it then was I had leaks. I had a water bill that was, and I got out here, and once I got some of the plastic and tar paper up, I realized, you can see right here, that's what I did. See that plastic? That's plastic and tar paper right there. Plastic on the bottom, tar paper on the front. I thought it was a good idea. A lot of work. It's not. So, and when I had the high water bill, I had to come out, and I finally found, and I dug up a lot. So this line has been patched probably a half a dozen times between here and that last cone. And then all the intersections, wherever it's a highway, and wherever the intersections are, they're suspect. So what I'm going to do is, this is the box. That's the water inlet right here. This is the shut off to the house. You can shut off that to the house, and the house won't have water if you go away for the summer, but you still have a bypass where the water can go through here, underground, over to this valve right here. This is the valve that's controlled by the timer. What we're going to do when he gets here, we're going to trace. We've got about 25 feet, 27 feet from that cone to this box. We're going to take everything out, and I'm going to transition somewhere past this box, right about here. It transitions from hard plastic into that half-inch plastic line. Where that happens, I'm going to replace it with PVC all the way out to the bushes, out to the property line. Before I put the yard back together. And another reason I scraped Another reason I scraped all this top rock off the yard and the yards, and this one has to be done too, is 3 years ago, I needed about a ton of good cover rock. I mean rock, no dirt, no sand in it. So I went to a local supplier, and you had to buy 3 ton. It's like $200 and almost $300 for 3 ton. Well, they delivered 3 ton, a ton of sand, a ton of pebble gravel, and a ton of rock. So everywhere, and I had 2 ton more than I needed. I just took it. I figured, well, I'll just put it on top of the land. I'll just build it up. I'll distribute it. Well, wherever I put it, it's filled with sand and pebbles. Like this field from here to the street is loaded with sand and pebbles that were in that rock. I ordered rock. I got sand, pebble, and rock, a mix. So all this has to come up. You've seen on the videos before where I sift the rock. All this is going to be sifted. All this rock. And that's why it's all pulled off. When I'm done putting down the water line, and we got it covered up, and it's all hard PVC, it's bulletproof, for a little deeper, a little straighter, a little high quality PVC. When we get it down here, we're going to cover it all back up. Now, my next challenge is to put a drainage ditch from the middle of these houses to the road and to that white post out there. And the reason is, you can see the relief. You see how my neighbor's yard to the right is higher? That little ridge you see just right of the second ditch, that little ridge right there keeps all the water trapped up here between that patio and the ridge whenever it rains. All the water that comes off that roof, off that patio roof, can't get out. It has a ridge here that keeps it trapped up against the patio. Not only does it have a ridge to keep it up against the patio, but also a berm was built in. If you look right here at the berm that was built in, that berm, I bet you that plant is probably 1.5 inches, 2 inches higher than the patio. So the water can't get out. What I'd like to do, I plan to do, once I get this water line in, and another place we have to go with this water line, they took right there, that one on the top, that goes around this patio over to the other side of the house. So we're going to dig that up. That has to be replaced. Down here we have 2 plants, and wherever you see gravel, like you see right here, I'm going to follow this gravel path right here. I did this 5 years ago. I did all this work 5 years ago when I regraded everything. I had to spend a lot of money and time, but I regraded everything. And where you see this gravel, that's where a line is buried. So all this gravel has to come up. We're going to expose that water line. But here it's tees off. Right here is a tee that leaks. It sips a little water. I tried to repair it with RTV and tape. It didn't work. So the new one's going to be PVC. Down here, it makes a turn. Right there, you can see where it turns in. Well, if I get it down here by the end of the weekend, if I get that white PVC all the way down here by the weekend and covered up, I'll be happy. Then we have to go the whole length of these plants past, well, let's walk down there. I'll have the light behind me, it'll be good. But this is why the whole yard is tore up. Okay, this rock is the property line. That right there is the surveyor's peg. That's the property line peg. Okay. Now, along this plants, there's a 1/2 inch line. As you can see, there's another gravel path that has to be dug up. This has to come out of here. This is all going to be moved. The lighthouse used to sit on that. And that's going to move, so that has to be all taken apart. Here's more of that gravel. This all has to come out. And it's got to go back there. So all this, plus the one that goes around the patio, all that, we're going to have to take it out and replace it. The guy at Lowe's, the young man at Lowe's, his name is Ian. He's like Hawkeye. He guides the path for me. I just have to ask him a few questions. He knows right where I'm going and right what I need to know. And the other day I went in and said, what do I have to have for this? And he told me, and I got it all in my mind, so it's going to be easy to lay out once I get it all opened up. But once I get this, as you can see, everything is scraped off. These piles of dirt, they all gotta have to go through the sifter. That pile of dirt right there is loaded with sand and pea gravel. Bad for drainage. I've got so much rock, I've got so much thick layer that I can afford to take it and scrape it all back, get all the sand out of it, get all the gravel out of it, and then I'm going to put down landscape fabric. If you put down landscape fabric, quality landscape fabric under good rock, you'll never have a weed. If it's just rock, there's no sand in it where weeds can grow. It's just air and rock, and you've got a layer of wherever you put that landscaping fabric. Now, here's what I had. The landscaping fabric will keep the weeds out. Alright, here's what I did last night. I got to show you these first before we go over to my other project. But what I do, those barrels right now are filled up with that sand. This is good. This is good. Okay. When I sift through my sifter, I've got the 1/2 inch over there. You can see the 1/2 inch one. I have a 1/4 inch one. Alright, so this pile right here has got all three in it. It's rock, it's sand, and it's pea gravel. And that's what came out from between the houses where I just was. Where I showed you where all that plumbing was. That's all the gravel plus that came off the front of here, this apron. And it's all there waiting to be processed. And when I get done with the processing, it gets sifted twice. The first time it gets processed, I end up with sand and pea gravel. The second time I process it, here's what I get. I get sand, that pile of sand right there, that's been through a 1/4 inch sifter, and I get this pea gravel. I get well, that's before it goes through the, right there, I don't have any pea gravel to show you. But that's before it goes through the 1/4 inch sifter. That's the sand that comes out of it. Now, what I do with these are going to be dead bodies. I'm building up a plateau over there, trying to build up an area, and these act as fill. I take the sand out of their pile, I fill these up to about 1 inch of the lip. Around the lip, I put in about 1.5 inch screw every 90 degrees that goes inside near the top of the lip. Then I fill up the bucket with sand, and I add water and keep packing it down to where I'm within like 1 inch, 1.5 inches of the top. Then I take 1 bag of that quick dry cement, I mix it in the wheelbarrow, and I top them off with quick dry cement. Now, you can see right here, I'll point to one of the screws, but every one has a screw every 90 degrees. that thing from the top. So the cement grabs the screw, it isn't going anywhere. I soaked it with water, so it's going to take a long time to dry, and the longer it takes. But what's going to happen now is I'm going to take them over to my other project, which now we're walking on the Jean patio, my other house patio. I'll try to get, this is our bird bath. We get a lot of birds here, a lot of pigeons, a lot of doves, all kinds of birds. And boy, when they get singing, what a racket. Okay, that brickwork you see is like a well or a column, whatever, that surrounds the palm tree out here. Now, what I'm doing is I'm adding some relief. Let me show you. If I go over here, you can see what I'm doing. I'm building up this corner. I've probably gone up about 3 feet on that corner from where it was. And these buckets filled with sand and topped off with cement are deadmen. They're taking up fill. They're never going to absorb water. I'm putting nothing but good rock around them, good drainage rock with no sand or pebbles. Just beyond here is a ditch. Right underneath here is a 3-inch water line that goes up to that downspout right there. I just put that in. So I've got a 3-inch water line going down here. But with this well, there used to be 3 trees here. I took one out yesterday. That's what's left of it down at the bottom. But the nest was getting too small. One of them had to go. And the one that was getting closest to the bricks that I was stacking up is the one that went. And then what I did is I did this monkey motion with the steel and the rubber hose. That's steel cable right there with a clamp on it, a U-clamp. I had to take and winch those in together. Now, from now on at that height, or for the next couple inches I go up, those trees are never going to touch this well. And I might go up another couple of layers. And the higher I go up with the well, the higher I can go up with this. But if you look, I'll step up here. I'm up quite a bit higher than I was before. Okay? That's the property line right there. That little, you see that green thing? That's where the property stake is. But as you can see, I'm up quite a bit higher than I was before. And I can go higher. But those three buckets, I'm going to patch in here. Plus, I want you to look at this. That sandbag right there is a big sandbag that I sew myself. I have a sewing machine. What it is, it's that mesh fabric that you buy at Lowe's that comes in a row, the sunbrella like mesh fabric for outside, and lined with high quality landscape fabric. So there's 2 layers. I make a bag that's about 15 inches wide and 3 feet long. And what I put in that bag is the crushed, or the pea gravel. The pea gravel has no sand. It's pea gravel. It's very stable when you lay it down. I've got them cinched with safety wire. Also, they're dead men. They're taking up space and building up this space. So that's what I'm doing here, where I've got a sitting area up here above the crowd. I'll go outside. I'll go out and I'll show you what it looks like from the golf course. I got my row of Italian cypress, but that's what it looks like from the golf course. And I may go higher. The higher I go with that brickwork, the higher I can go. We're going to smother, but these things, they seem to be thriving, even though I'm partially covering them up with this gravel. But this is what I've been doing for the last month or so, and I'll be glad to get it done. I'll be glad to get it done because I got a sailboat waiting for me in New York. I got the sails out here. I got to start buying a lot of stuff for it, working it, and I've got other little tasks. These yard tasks now, I've been doing off and on for 6-7 years, trying to make sure these yards drain off where water drains off the yard. Okay, they weren't built to drain. They were built as retention basins. This house, yard, this yard, that yard, and the next yard over were all built as retention basins that kept water landlocked up here off the golf course. They built this property line high, all the way from the street, all the way to the drainage. The property line is high. And then between the property line and all the patios, they put a berm that was higher than the patio. So the water was landlocked. Look at all this roof. Look at all this roof area. And my neighbor's roof right there, that's 75 feet of roof line right there. Maybe 400 or 500 feet of square feet of roof that just feeds water. Now I put up gutters. I got up gutters. I've got pipes that run the water off the area. My neighbor's done nothing. He's done nothing. When it rains hard, I have a drain up there. Just that downspout, about 2 feet to the right of that downspout is a 4-inch drain that drains into a what we call a dry well. I made a big hole in the ground right where that cactus is, a huge hole in the ground, and I filled it up with rock, big chunks of rock, what they call a dry well. I had to do that, but I've got 3 pipes, almost 4 pipes coming from that corner, trying to get the water off that corner because they put a berm across. All the water that came off all these roofs up here during the storm couldn't get off the lots. Every lot was its own retention basin. If it rained for 4 days straight hard, the water just it stayed up here. It stayed up here. It's stored. They're storing water up here instead of having it run onto the golf course like it's supposed to. But that's what I got going. I'm going to run to Lowe's and probably get enough for 2 more layers and see how that goes. But what I do is I take this Bond. It's like a high-tech glue that comes in a tube. Loctite, I think, makes it, or somebody like that. And I just put a dab. I put a dab, just a dab, a spooge here, a spooge there. I'm careful, and by the next morning when I come out, it's all locked in place. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to backfill it anyway. It's all going to be backfilled. I've got 5 more big sandbags like this one. I've got 4 more like this that I've got to fill. And when I start processing rock, I'm going to have all the pebbles I need. And I'm going to lay those bags in here. I've got 3 more. Those 3 more are going to go in here somewhere. And here comes my guy now with more buckets. That's Henry, my laborer. He's going to come down. We're going to be working all day. This is the end of the film. Got to say goodbye.